Okay. How about now? I would tell you guys what I did wrong there, but yeah, I'm kind of dumb, to be honest. But that's okay. Pretty funny if you ask myself, which you guys can. Boom, ba-dum, ba-dum. La, where is your picture? And
I don't know. I couldn't figure it out in time. My bad. Oh my
man,
God! Stop that. Make
I
me go
ruin
away.
everything. Stop what?
Hold on, I'm leaving.
Perfect. Am I loud enough? I think I figured out one other thing that StreamYard was doing to my mic. Hopefully it's loud enough. Can everybody hear me? All right. Well, I don't have anything like super big for today planned. I just wanted to go over the alibi a little bit and some of the hearing stuff. How has everybody been doing today? Can you get a refund, Meg? Of course you can. You can have that quarterback anytime. All you have to do is ask. The why alibi. I dig it. All right, let me bring this in here. So, what we have here is the alibi. This is a quick refresher. You would like your quarterback or your quarterback's back. Which quarterback specifically? We need a name. Who's your quarterback, Meg P? La will be right back. I think she just didn't hit her picture right. Now we get a new picture. Never seen that one before. Did you just take that? Is that your freshly dyed hair?
No, my hair's red. No, but I'm flipping you off in that picture, so.
That's really fucked up. Why would you flip me off? I did nothing.
Mhm.
I did nothing.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Meg, we'll probably bring the map up later. You know,
Meg P, hello.
that's always the fun part. Heather, you can't have your 2 cents back. I'm gonna have to walk outside to find a couple pennies, but I'll give it back to you. Not a problem. But on your screen, we should have the alibi pulled up. Hopefully it's big enough for everybody to see. I zoomed in a little bit. But it says Mr. Koberger was out driving in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, as he often did to hike and run and or see the moon and stars. He drove throughout the area south of Pullman, Washington, and west of Moscow, Idaho, including, that's the big part, including Whoa Park. And then we come down to the part which I find quite funny now, where Mr. Koberger intends to offer testimony of Cy-Ray, CSLI expert, cell tower, cell phone, and other radio frequency. Curricula vitae is attached. I don't know what curricula vitae means, but it sounds important. To show that Brian Koberger's mobile device was south of Pullman, Washington, and west of Moscow, Idaho on November 13th, 2022. That Brian Koberger's mobile device did not travel east on the Moscow-Pullman highway in the early morning hours of November 13th, and thus could not be the vehicle captured on video along the Moscow-Pullman highway near Floyd's cannabis shop. La, do you want to finish this paragraph? Or you're gone again? She's gone again. I don't know where she went. So, additional information as to Mr. Koberger's whereabouts as the early morning hours progressed, including additional analysis by Mr. Ray, will be provided once the state provides discovery requested and now subject to an upcoming motion to compel. If not disclosed, Mr. Ray's testimony will also reveal that critical exculpatory evidence further corroborating Mr. Koberger's alibi was either not preserved or has been withheld. Yeah, law does that. And she's back. Hello.
Sorry.
You should be. I don't know what happened.
No, I tried to go into chat and then it made me sign into Google or whatever, YouTube, and I clicked something and it cut me off again. So
it happens.
Yes. Anyway, continue.
But I hope all of you have watched the hearing from last Thursday, because Ann Taylor did prove that they withheld and destroyed evidence that could be exculpatory towards Mr. Koberger, which I think is a huge deal.
Yep.
Does
Twiz,
anybody
you didn't
want?
watch Lana this morning, did you?
I have not. No.
Yeah, it was good. She talked about it and how the Maori guy only had like 24 hours or whatever of training, and he knew nothing. You have to have 500 hours to be a cast member.
Yeah, in the FBI, it's required to have 500 hours in order to present testimony in court.
Yes, and he was not the expert. He is not the expert. Maori is not.
Yeah, I just don't know if that means like actually being in court or providing screenshots of the map that you pull up to court. So I don't know exactly what that all means specifically. But there is a clip, which I just heard. I didn't grab the timestamp, but Ann Taylor asks Officer Maori to hand over all of the communications he received in order to make those exhibits when he was not the expert. So she said in court, you were not the expert. You shouldn't have made these exhibits.
Exactly.
So it's pretty crazy.
Lana
there's
thinks
a lot of
Payne
stuff.
could be there tomorrow.
What's that?
She keeps saying that Brett Payne could be there tomorrow to testify or something.
That would be amazing. I'm pretty sure he was sitting in the courthouse when I walked in on Thursday.
No way.
Yeah, like there's through the metal detector, there was an officer sitting there. And I was like, oh, fuck, it's Payne.
Yep.
So it could have been. It could have been. So
total.
We can watch the
Detective Maori.
We can watch part of the hearing, which I can speed up a little bit. Bald, short guy. If you're referring to Payne, the guy was balding at least. I think there was a little bit of short hair up there. I didn't get a good look at his face though, so I wasn't really sure. But he was sitting down, so I don't know how short he was either, but I don't know. He was sitting. It was hard to tell, but I was like, that could be Payne. I haven't watched the body cams in a while to see what Payne looks like, but from my recollection, it could have been Payne, which would be hilarious. I'd like to know how much training Mr. Payne has.
Not much more than Maori, I wouldn't think.
Hi, Batcheat. Half cast. Yeah, we could call him that. I don't know how many of you guys watch Game of Thrones, but I think it'd be really funny if we had like 100 people standing outside the courthouse when all these clowns walk in. We can just yell shame at them over and over again. Shame, shame, shame. Because that's what I think of it.
We'll let you do that tomorrow. You can go first, and then
All right, I'm gonna play the hearing. We can fast. I'm gonna put it at 1.5 speed. So if anybody has a hard time hearing it or whatever, let me know.
Did you take part in the investigation into the homicides on King Road?
Yes.
And what was your role?
I'm going to fast forward a little
And
bit.
I've also taken classes for the cast biz.
The cellular analysis, is that particular to the device itself, the cell phone device?
No.
That is particular to towers?
To the towers and the providers themselves.
When did you take that training?
The cast, I believe, was in 2019, and then I also did it again last year.
And the cast that you took in 2019, that was the ENDICAC, is that right?
That was without again, right?
And the cast that you took last year was October of 2023, is that correct?
Yes.
And that was the actual cast training?
They were both done by actual cast members. I'm not sure if one was sponsored by the other, but they were both formed by FBI cast members.
And Your Honor, if I can approach.
Yes, thank you.
Detective Mallory, I'm putting in front of you what's labeled as Defendant's Exhibit O, and those are 2 certificates for training. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So the one that's from 2019, what did that cover?
That covered the use of the cast biz software.
And what did the one in 2023 cover?
The same.
Your Honor, I move for admission of Defendant's O.
Any objection?
No objection.
Okay, those are exhibit. Oh, no objection. Thank you.
Detective Mallory, how many total hours do those certificates represent of cast training?
I apologize, I didn't look, it was a week long. That was actually a couple of days each time. 2 days apiece,
You need this, but
So 2019 shows 24 hours, 2023 says 16 hours.
Thank you, Detective.
thank you.
Detective, you've written some reports in this case, is that correct?
Yes.
I want to talk about 2 particular reports right now. One is from May the 5th of 2023. Do you recall that report, or should I bring a copy of that to you?
If you'll pull that up.
I can definitely do that. Thank you. Let me show it to Ms. Jennings.
We have a jury next door.
Okay.
So that's all.
Could you guys hear them next door?
Detective Mallory, does that appear to be?
Because
your
I
report
can't hear
from
it in
May
the
5th of
recording, but it was
2023?
pretty loud next door.
And Your Honor would move for admission of Defendant's P.
Next door, where?
That's P.
P, like Paul?
In the courthouse, there's like a room next to it, and there's people like laughing and
Exhibit C
stuff.
is admitted. No objection.
I couldn't
Thank you,
hear
Your
it.
Detective Mallory, I do not have a police report for
That's
the
what
other
he
one
was
that I want to talk
referring
about
to right
today.
there, though.
It's one that I received via email today that was written just within the last few days by you, probably. Do you know what report I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what I want to understand is we're talking about documents or records or logs that can be created by a CastBiz program. The report that you wrote that I received today, when did you learn about those documents that exist according to that report?
The session that I found from yesterday.
Why did you come to find them yesterday?
That's a very good series.
Okay. And those are things that existed for quite some time. Is that correct?
They did.
And when you wrote about your work with CastBiz in May of 2023, did you document those items?
No.
Tell me what you found when you were preparing for the motion to compel today.
I found session logs that were sent to me from the FBI.
All right. And in those session logs, how many files were there?
I remember there were 6 or 7 different items inside.
Did you look at the CastBiz 48-hour file?
I don't remember if I did at the time of the reception.
Did you look at it yesterday in preparation for this hearing?
I attempted to.
All right. And how about the CastBiz full log?
I attempted to yesterday.
I noticed in your report that there were several items that you listed. Were those from these CastBiz logs that you attempted to look at yesterday?
I'm sorry, you need to speak up a little bit, or just telling me to pick up a little bit. Thanks.
There were some files that were in the session logs, there were other files that were
Look at
not.
that weird dude in the hearing
Well,
with the
let's start with
mohawk.
48-hour. What
What a
was contained in
weirdo.
there?
There's over 48 hours that was the
That's
18
what
people.
WSU Kim
Yeah.
thought you had a mohawk.
Let's go with the session log. What
I've
was in
had
there?
a few people say that.
Appeared to be the AT&T records that possibly were inputted, as well as some JSON files that were probably produced by Cast.
JSON files were produced by CastBiz. Is that right?
I would assume that I didn't create those files.
What date were they created?
I believe one was in December, the other was in April.
December of what year?
23.
And April of what year?
23.
Could you tell who created those?
I could not.
How did you get those?
I was provided those via email.
By who?
I made balance of the FBI.
What did you do with those?
I gave them this as soon as I realized they were in my possession. I contacted the prosecutor and gave them.
And that would be just yesterday, is that correct?
Yes.
What did you do with them prior to that time?
They were sent to me. I put them in a folder and I didn't do anything else with them. That's why I forgot them.
Okay, and that was the 48-hour file?
The 48-hour session log, yes.
How about the full file? What was contained in there?
Similar to items to the 48.
What is the full file?
I believe that was the second AT&T return that we got via warrant. I was able to open it to verify it.
That's probably the one
That
from like what,
brings up a question for
August
clarification when you say second
until
warrant return. Are you talking about something that
December
relates
or
to
something?
Brian Koberger?
Yes, there was 2 warrants that were originally written. One that covered a 48-hour period for the cell phone number, and there was one that was later done for a longer period of time.
And those are what you're referring to as the warrants 1 and warrant 2?
Correct. Okay, 48 and one for the longer period.
In the report that I just received today, there was reference to a loped bar file. What's that?
It is a file that I received from Agent Dobbs.
When did you receive that?
I want to say the modification paper, that email, I honestly don't remember. Unfortunately, it was yesterday and I didn't throw this stuff together. So
So that was one that you just
it'll
found
have
yesterday?
logs of whenever
Okay.
those emails were
Did you
sent to
open
him.
that?
That's the funny part.
I don't recall.
Because these emails are going to go back to
I did.
December 2022
How
and
about the
then
CDR
April 2023 by the sounds of
file?
it.
With that, and CDR, what does that stand for?
All detail records.
Did you open that?
I don't remember if I did not.
Did you open it yesterday?
I don't remember. I was looking for it. Once I found them, I was trying to figure out how they came into my presence or in my possession. That's what I started.
Okay. How about the export.kmz file? When did you find that file?
I found that one yesterday,
Do you know when that came into your possession?
some time ago.
Did you open that?
I believe I did on my laptop.
What did that show you?
It showed me different locations and so forth on and on.
Those 3 files that we just talked about, along with the CastViz 48 and the CastViz full, are those copied so that I can have those now?
Yes.
And you referred to emails. How many emails did you find when you were preparing for this hearing?
I believe it was 5.
Are those included for me to have now as well?
Yes.
Thank you. In the report that I received today, there was a reference to drawings.json file. What's that?
It was a JSON file that was inside the CastViz session.
What does that depict?
It's just data that CastViz would use, I'm guessing, to replot something on the map to actually show locations or other things.
Did you do anything with that file when you found it yesterday?
I did open that file, yes.
Okay. What did that show you when you opened it?
There were references to 2 locations inside.
When you open it, what does it just say, here's 2 references, or what does it show you when you open it?
It's different code, but there is some plain language or plain English, plain text inside of that code that show 2 addresses.
Did you use that file? Well, let me ask this first. That file that contains code, do you use that with the CastViz program?
I attempted to load the session file in its entirety and it received errors, so I was not able to. That's why I went into the JSON file to see if there was something I could scheme.
Is that file usable?
I'm sure it is.
I wonder
somewhere.
what the 2 addresses
What
were.
is the restriction for you?
I don't know what restriction is. I don't know what to do with that file outside of, if I could possibly bring it into the CastViz. I tried to pull it in as a combined session log, which is what I was trained to do. Right, didn't get that. Didn't pull that file.
Is that file available on a discovery drive for me?
Provided to the prosecutor today.
Thank you. In the report that I just got today, there's a reference to another CastViz session and some screenshots. What is that about?
I believe you're talking about this, the regular 48 hours folder.
I don't know. I'm curious.
So that I provided 2 folders. One was CastViz and one was my last name of Maori. That was to differentiate the files that I found that were provided to me and the folder of the files that I use to create this report.
Okay. CastViz is the files that you found while preparing,
Correct.
and the one that says Maori is what you used to create your May 3rd report of 2023.
Yes.
I think I understand that now. In that file, I think your report said you found screenshots dated April 19th of 2023.
Yes.
All right. Does that mean that's the day that you put things into your CastViz program?
That was the day that I made the screenshots themselves.
Okay. Where are those screenshots now? Are those also included on the drive?
Yes.
Okay. And then your report
Now
dated 5/3
she
said that you
knows
were
what
asked
they
to
said in
examine
the
the
grand
record.
jury.
So I'm a little confused. If you had something that
A
you took
little late.
screenshots of on 4/19, but on 5/3 you were asked to examine the record. What were you doing on 4/19 or before to get those screenshots?
So I was tasked, the date was May 3rd for the report. It's not the date that I asked.
Okay. What day were you asked to do?
I cannot remember. I'm going to guess that it was somewhere around April 19th. That's when the screenshots were created.
Okay. Let's talk about that time frame then and what you did. Did you actually use a CastViz program at that time to create something?
Yes.
The CastViz program that you used at that time, and we're talking about springtime of 2023, we'll call it April for now, if that's fair. What training had you received by then to do this CastViz program?
The 2019 training.
Okay. What, with the CastViz program, what's the first thing that you did?
24
Once the
hours,
program's open, you
at
can
least
drag
3
and drop
years
the
before
CDR records
the
into
incident.
the program.
CDR means call detail records.
Right.
Did you do just 48-hour records or did you do full records in April of 2023?
I only did 48 hours.
When you put the records in, those are the call detail records, and those relate to what?
To the phone that the records were coming back to.
The number you associated with Brent Coburger. Right. Okay. When, after you put those call detail records in, you have to.
And that is where she said Brent.
I didn't hear it.
Number you
Watch.
associated with Brent Coburger.
Right.
Okay.
Oh.
When
Yeah, I had to slow it down.
She did. Wow.
the number you associated with Brent Coburger.
Right.
Okay.
Brent Coburger.
When, after you
I've never
put
heard
those
that
call
name
detail
before.
records in, do you have to do anything with cell towers?
With the AT&T, no, because the cell tower locations are in the AT&T CDR.
Okay. So you put that record in, the tower locations are already part of the call detail record that you put in.
Yes.
Is that something that you have electronic on your computer and then you open your CastViz program and just import it into the program?
Yes, AT&T provides both PDF and text documents of the file. And I use the text documents to put into CastViz to edit text.
And when you do that, what gets exported?
Nothing. At that point, nothing is exported or created that I know of.
Can you export the session that you're working on?
You can export session log, yes,
Did you do that?
No.
How did you create screenshots?
by using the built-in Windows snip tool, as well as the built-in Windows game console, or they call it a game bar, which is just accessed by hitting Windows G. That allows you to record your screen.
Are those the only two things you did, is screen clip and screen record?
Yes.
How many times did you use call detail records in the CastViz program?
Probably 7 times. I'm not entirely sure.
That was a terrible question. How many times did you use the CastViz program in relation to Brian Coburger's call detail records?
I don't know.
More than once?
I recall the evidentiary because I wasn't the main lead in the call detail records investigation.
I don't understand what that means.
I wasn't the main person looking at those call detail records
You weren't the main person with the call detail records, but you put them in the CastViz program anyway?
for the grand jury. I was requested.
Okay. What did you rely on in producing those, producing whatever you produced for the grand jury?
What did I produce? As far as the AT&T records,
I want to know what you relied on to do that, to produce something for the grand jury.
I don't understand the question.
Okay. You weren't the main guy with the call detail records or with the CastViz programming. Did I understand that much right?
There was another investigator that was doing it.
Okay. But you end up involved in it somehow in April of 2023, is that right?
That's why I was asked to examine the data to provide that for the grand jury.
Okay. Was that all of your instruction?
What do you mean by that?
Well, you're asked by somebody else who's actually doing this part of the investigation in the case to produce something for the grand jury to use. And I'm curious about what you relied on, to get to that point. I want to know all the records you relied on, all of the emails, all of the conversations you relied on to produce this thing that you're not the expert for.
So
To produce this thing that you are not the expert on.
Yep. It's gonna get
According
heated.
to the FBI CAST training thing, you have to have 500 hours in order to provide testimony during a court hearing. I don't know if the grand jury, like, because they just used his map at the grand jury, I don't know if that counts as providing testimony or whatever, but that's crazy.
Well, someone would have to explain the map and explain the findings.
Oh yeah, I'm waiting for us to see where they say Brian was on that map.
Well, I'm talking about in the grand jury hearings when they indicted him. Someone had to explain that to the jury.
Yeah, from what I heard, only the prosecutor goes up during grand juries. That might not be true. That's just what I heard. I have no idea. Heather might know if she's listening.
Yeah, I mean, it would seem like someone would have to explain this to the members of the grand jury somehow.
Yeah, from what I heard, it's only the prosecutor.
Well, yeah, I know the prosecution is there, the defense is not, but the prosecution can call witnesses, I believe, for testimony. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. It would be interesting to find out who got up there and explained it, though.
Okay,
Because either
Heather,
way,
we
I
were
don't think.
wondering who would have explained the map and the findings of the cast to the members of the grand jury? If you
Would it
know.
be the prosecutor or was there a witness that came up?
This is why Anne is going to be able, hopefully this time, to get the grand jury indictment thrown out. Because if they relied upon this dude or Brett Payne or even Bill Thompson to get up there and explain it, that's not how it works. They didn't follow like the court rules and proceedings policies, and it will be thrown out.
Yeah, if they can go back and throw the grand jury out because of that or whatever. But that's hard to bring back the indictment, especially at this point, from what I've understood.
No, I agree. I think the throwing out the grand jury indictment is the first step. And then whether it will go to a preliminary hearing or not, I mean, it's all eventually going to be thrown out. I just think Anne is playing it not safe, but a little, she wants to do it the right way. So it will be thrown out once and for all.
Yeah. Heather just said it has to be Thompson or the creator, and he said that he just made the map for the grand jury, so Thompson would have had to explain it. The funny thing with this whole thing is obviously Cy Ray has told Anne how this software works, if not brought her through it, but she still doesn't completely understand how it all works and how the different files work, right? You can kind of tell by how she's talking about it.
Yeah. Well, why would she?
So
I mean,
how the hell would Thompson know?
he wouldn't. He wouldn't at all.
So all I'm saying is they probably placed him south of Moscow on the map.
Well, yeah, but they were wrong. They have to explain how they did it, the steps they took to get to that conclusion. I don't know. I cannot see Bill Thompson trying to explain this in any
I
kind
could see
of
him
way.
trying to. I just don't think he would do a good job at it.
No, not at all.
But I mean, if it's just a map with possible locations, you can place them anywhere that you want. And that's the thing that Anne's talking about. She doesn't say it in the court hearing, but she needs to know the parameters that were set in that in that program to come up with the map that they're saying he was at. And they don't do it.
Nope, they don't.
So it's weird.
Well, the update for the AT&T records. Received the AT&T records. Those records were also given to another investigator, who was the main investigator doing the CDR records.
Pain.
Prosecution then asked me to provide or create some type of visualization of the call detail records and examine the call detail records for the 4 hours in question.
Just to be really sure, when you talked about writing the 2 warrants for AT&T, we're talking about 2 warrants that relate to Brian Koberger. There were a lot of other warrants. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to be really clear on that. You've taken the cast training. Is that right?
Yes.
And you know there's a way to save your session. Is that correct?
Yes.
And there's also a way just to hit reset and delete your session. Do you know that part too? And back in April, when you were creating something for the grand jury, you hit reset. Is that right?
Or I just deleted the file out of it. I don't remember if I reset or even the visual result.
You don't remember which thing you did? But you decided to delete what you created.
I don't know.
So smart.
I didn't create the
Oh,
session.
wait till later. This is where she proves he
Delete the reference
deleted the
of the
evidence.
file in the software, but the file itself is not deleted.
She proves that the evidence was created when he made that map, and it's
I
not
wanna make
in
sure I
house.
understand.
No matter what, he
You-
deleted it. He destroyed
The
evidence.
AT&T record still
Mhm.
exists. You didn't delete that.
Correct.
But the session, when you put that in to the cast viz program, and it does its thing with the call detail records, which includes tower references, you either deleted that session or you chose to reset. Did I understand that right?
Didn't create a session log. I don't know how I would delete it. I just removed the reference to the file, the main file, from the software at some point. I don't know when I did that.
You don't know when you did that?
Okay, but you can close the software without hitting reset or go.
And then it would just stay there.
I believe it does.
And you can also export your session if you get interrupted and you want to come back and work on it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you do that? You left.
So if it stays there, no matter what, it would have to have been removed or reset or deleted in order to do something else afterwards.
And he keeps saying deleted. He's saying deleted, not reset. Yep.
It up and running at some point and then did something that didn't save it. Is that right?
The session log was never created. Did not create a session log. The CDR records I was dealing with is relatively small. There's no need to do that because I can ingest the files right back into Cascades in a short amount of time.
Your Honor, just for clarity, may I approach? I have another exhibit to show him. I'll give it to you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Dude, it's kind of sad because every time she turns around to walk back to her little desk, she looks straight at the ground.
Really?
She doesn't look at anybody in the hearing.
I wonder if that's like a intentional thing.
Oh, it definitely is. I think she thinks everyone hates her.
You do?
Yeah. I mean, that's
Oh.
what the media makes it sound like, right?
Are you familiar with the document that was handed to you that's marked Defendants W?
Yes.
And have you seen that before?
I have.
Is that something that you were taught from the CAST Users Guide?
I'm sure I was. It's also included in the software that can be readily assessment.
Okay. And Your Honor, would move for admission of Defendants W?
Thank you. No objection. Okay, that exhibit W is admitted.
Thank you.
No objection.
See, what
In
I
your
think
training, were you also taught from the CAST Field Users?
what I think happened is that Ann Taylor was going to bring Cy Ray up first and explain all this shit that she's talking with him about, and then bring him on after, because Cy Ray can explain, because what she just brought up was the training guide. So there's something that he did in the training guide, or something that he should have did in the training guide that he didn't do, right? That's why she's bringing that up. He made a mistake somewhere that's in the training guide, and he just didn't look at it or forgot about it, because he said the training was in like 2019. The crimes happened late 2022, so it's probably 3 years past his training when this is going on.
Yep.
It's wild.
Guide?
I believe so.
I'm about ready to switch gears on you and talk a little bit more about videos for a second, but if I can have just one moment, Your Honor.
Sure.
Okay, let's switch gears for just a minute. You, during the course of your work, did you make contact with the Idaho Department of Transportation to talk about some of the cameras that cover main roads coming into and out of Moscow?
Yes.
And did you attempt to make preservation of any items? What items did you want preserved?
I was trying to see if they had saved video or still images from those times.
What did you learn?
That they do not retain those.
Did you, when you say they do not retain those, do you mean they don't retain videos or pictures or both? Did you do a preservation for anything?
So right here, she's talking about the cameras that go into Moscow, the traffic cameras that should show Brian's car driving to Moscow, right? She's asking if they put in a request to save those footages, and they didn't do it.
Is this when he won't really answer? He's like whispering no.
No, I don't.
Because he's
think so.
embarrassed.
That's later. But this means that they could have saved that footage.
Right.
All they had to do was put in a request to save all the footage from the cameras coming into Moscow. And they didn't do it.
And it should have been done day one of the investigation.
Right. Even if you don't think somebody drove in, like, why not just throw in the request? That way, if it does end up being a car that came in, you know where it came from.
Right. You can go back and reference it. I know. It's mind blowing. They did not ask to preserve anything.
It's crazy.
Do you think that's why they only have like what they say is the camera from Floyd's and then like that gas station camera?
Yeah, they got camera footage from all the businesses and, Ring cameras from people's houses.
So
But they
there's
don't have-
no footage whatsoever from like a DOT traffic
Nope.
cam anywhere.
And there's cameras on all the main roads coming into town.
I know.
we can watch me on camera drive into Moscow if we wanted to.
But
It's
do we
crazy.
want to? I'm just kidding.
Um,
I just can't believe these cops. I mean, we're not cops, but this is basic detective work. Wouldn't you try to get the cameras at the main intersections around that neighborhood? Or I don't know. It's just I just can't understand what they were thinking. Like, unless they knew then that they didn't need the cameras.
well, I think part of the problem is they didn't know Brian was the suspect until later. And then afterwards, they were trying to scramble around to find camera footage of him driving around, but it was too late. It already passed the time when they could put in that preservation request.
No, I get it, but do you know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't have Brian, but they at the same time did not need camera footage.
Right.
Meaning they knew who was likely responsible and that they didn't need the camera footage to tell them that.
Well, I think another thing is they knew that white car was around the house pretty early on. I don't think we know the exact date, but I would say probably within a few days they knew there was a white car driving around the house, right?
Yeah.
They still could have put in the request to save all that camera footage coming in and out of town, waiting to see that white car, and they didn't do it. But
Yeah,
that
to see if it
also
returned.
leads me to think that they thought that car was a car that's in Moscow all the time.
Okay.
If
I
they
mean,
thought
yeah.
the car wasn't from Moscow, then why wouldn't they request this camera footage?
I don't know. I cannot understand their process of thinking through this. Like, unless they thought it was somebody that lived in the neighborhood or on campus close by. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Exactly.
None of it makes sense.
Well, we know it doesn't make sense, but like, I'm just trying to go back and think how they are thinking, and it still doesn't make sense.
No, it really doesn't. Like, regardless, if a murder comes in or murder happens in the town, you'd think that they would get all the footage coming into the town just in case it was somebody that came into town. You know, it's a football weekend. They had that axe throwing contest or whatever. There's going to be a bunch of people coming into town from out of town. You don't want to have all that footage saved just in case something is to happen.
I mean, I would think so, but what is a main intersection before you get to like that area where they live?
From where?
Anywhere. Like, is there a major intersection that would have cameras from the DOT near King Road, Queen Road, or Linda Lane, or any of that?
I don't know. I don't know exactly where the cameras are.
But I bet that campus has cameras.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, there's probably a camera here. Like, all the main, maybe one there. But there has to be one coming, like, at this intersection, I think. There's one. Now, supposedly, he took Sand Road and went up this way, right? To avoid that camera. Maybe.
But if they didn't get camera footage, how do they know he avoided any cameras?
I don't know. Well, the other thing is they say he drove by Floyd's, right? Floyd's is right here. So they have him on camera at Floyd's. There's definitely a camera probably here because that's like the first main intersection coming in, and this is where the Walmart is, you know? There's a camera, like an official Idaho camera on this road somewhere that he would have to come through because supposedly he drives by Floyd's, and then that Red Star coffee shop is up here somewhere. I don't know exactly where it is, but it's in here somewhere. I think it's over here more, maybe.
It's just they can't say he avoided cameras if they didn't even get camera footage to show that he avoided or didn't avoid it.
Right.
Like, how did they get to that conclusion?
They didn't ask for the camera footage coming into Moscow to be saved, and then they just conveniently leave out the 2 camera intersections in Pullman
Mhm.
that he would have to drive by to get to Moscow.
Oh, how
There's
many ways can you enter Moscow? The town
there's
of
4 cameras right here. They don't put it in. If he went to Moscow, he'd drive through this intersection. That has 3 cameras on it as well. Not mentioned.
I mean, I get that from Pullman, but what if you're coming from the south or the more east of Moscow?
I mean, there's a bunch of ways you could do it. There's this road too. The old Moscow road. That leads to campus though, so there'd have to be cameras
Mhm.
around here somewhere. What some people say he took this road. How do you get there from Sand?
I mean, even though there are probably many like little
They'd
roads.
they'd have him on camera heading this way. This is the way that he came back that night, right? They have him on camera right around here on Johnson Road. They have him on these cameras going north, but why don't they say he took those cameras going south to get there? Like, there's only one way I could really think of that he could do it and not be on camera, but they'd have him on camera right here, I bet, or at least coming out of Pullman. There's probably a camera at the intersection. I haven't looked at it, but that's my only theory is that he could come this way because you'd see him leaving town, but there's not going to be an intersection cam and then take this road over to Busby and then through or something. And then you could theoretically get there. Unless there's like a camera out here somewhere, which I don't know, there might be. But it just doesn't make sense. They're going to have him on camera leaving Pullman or coming into Moscow.
Yeah.
Where is Stadium Street in? Okay, so Red Star has to be right here. Yeah, there's Red Star. So they have him coming in from Floyd's. There's Floyd's. They supposedly have him on camera at Floyd's, and then coming this way and passing by Red Star.
Okay, but the camera at Floyd's would, if it's on the front of the business, it's facing the road, it would only get a side angle of whatever car is driving by.
Yeah,
So there's no way to identify a license plate or any other identifying feature.
yep. And then how would you even get to the house from there? You'd have to take a right here and come down. Unless he went through. So there's Red Star. He could have gone down Line Street, I guess. But the first camera they have him on is like what, Indian Hills at 326?
And that's what they say. It's not him. I mean, but okay.
That's where like the white car is though. In the PC, I think it's 326 on Indian Hills. I know it's 326. I just don't remember exactly where. But they'd have him on camera if he went from Red Star. They should have cameras because these are all businesses and
Yeah.
busy intersections. I bet they have them on camera around there too. Or the car. But it doesn't make a lot of sense either way.
Not at all.
And they didn't even save the footage.
I don't
Crazy.
know if I can have another exhibit provided.
Yeah.
what do you recognize that exhibit?
So these are emails that I was trying to find some kind of contact information for windy.com, the website that does weather-related information, as well as has some links to images from cameras that are covering the highway.
And did you learn that you could have some still shots preserved?
I did.
Did you have some still shots preserved?
I did not.
Okay. Your Honor, would move for admission of defendants P.
That's what, I'm sorry, PP?
Double P, yes.
That's what I thought. Okay. Exhibit PP is exhibit or admitted. No objection.
He can't even talk right there. It's so
Okay.
funny.
Did he not preserve any images from Wendy.com or whatever the app because they didn't have any with the car?
Exactly. So they looked at all the footage that they could, at least from windy.com, and they didn't save it because it doesn't show the white car, which is
Exactly.
exculpatory evidence. If the white car ain't there, that's exculpatory to Brian Koberger.
Yep.
And
And then
they didn't save it.
Forensic Frenzy did a video on this a day or so ago. She was able to pull up, I think it saves the images for like 2 years. She was able to go back to the end of November 2022.
It saves some of them.
But
It doesn't save all of them.
Right. But my point I want to make is it shows how clear the images are even at nighttime. Like she saved some and showed them.
Yeah, I mean, it's the official cameras from the IDOT, Idaho Transportation or whatever.
So if they went back and looked through all of that and didn't see his car, that's because it wasn't there.
Right, which is exculpatory to Brian.
Okay. No, I agree. You think
And
that's
they
what he's
didn't
been
save
saying
it.
this whole time?
Right, but they have to hand over. If they looked at it, it's evidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't see the white car, so they got rid of it because it's not relevant.
Right.
It's relevant to him not doing the crime.
I know. I'm just like, how are these people? I don't know.
How are they detectives? Like,
That's what I was going to say. I know.
What is going on?
I've watched enough Law and Order. I think I could do a better investigation, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's pretty common sense. You have a crime in a house where 4 people get murdered. You don't know who did it or why. You're not going to save all the footage coming into town that night.
Yep.
What are you guys doing?
And then going through the footage that they
talked about.
Sorry.
Go
The
on.
footage they could see and his car isn't there, wouldn't you think they would be like, okay, so maybe the white car isn't the suspect car. Maybe we need to go back to the drawing board. They didn't do that.
They don't even know if the white car committed the crime.
I know that. I'm just what I'm saying. Like, they should have been like, guys, we're on the wrong track here. We need to like back up.
No.
We need to.
They had to get somebody before the next semester. That's what it is.
Well, they had to because of who?
The school.
You're right. Scott Green was in those war style boardroom meetings.
Yeah. Like, I was talking with Sergeant Friday the other day, and he was like, but the enrollment went up. I'm like, yeah, but is that online? Because after the crime, they said like 40% of the students didn't come back after Thanksgiving break. But it's not just money for the universities. It's money for the town. These businesses depend on kids coming in. You know, I've been here during Christmas break when there are no kids here, and it's a ghost town. So not only would the university lose money, but all those businesses would lose money too.
Right. And so my question is, we know Scott Green because he wrote about it in his book, was involved. But do you think also like there was the mayor or somebody who, you know, at the head of the town and the town budgets and, you know, all of that? Like, do you think it was like a collaboration of people like that?
It very well could be. I don't really know who or why. I think it's very weird that Green was in on those war room meetings.
It's not only weird, he shouldn't have been there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what do you have to do with the investigation? You're
Right.
the president of a school. And yeah, the police force is funded through the school.
Only part of it.
Right. They don't have university campus police like WSU does, but they still fund like a division. So like they have their set officers or whatever. But either way, I don't understand why the president of the university is sitting in those war room meetings, is what they called them.
If anything, they should have. I mean, if he wanted to know exactly what was going on with the investigation, they could have just given him what info they could have. He had no business being in the investigative meetings. No business
Nope.
whatsoever.
Not at all. And Heather brings up the good point. They first said it was a Nissan Sentra or something, and then they got the wrong year for the Elantra. That either tells you that the footage is very bad, or that FBI officer with 30 years of experience or whatever sucks at his job.
Yep. And both are not good alternatives. I don't know.
Angel says it's illegal to be that hot to you.
Angel D. Come arrest me. I'm just kidding.
Dang, bring them handcuffs, Angel. She's ready.
I
You
love Angel D.
the guy that was booked or take videos in from different agencies, even if you didn't verify what was on the device you received. Is that right?
Yes.
And I have a specific one a couple of them I want to ask you about. One is from Red Star Coffee Shop. Do you recall receiving that video? Okay. And
Did he say yes or no?
okay. And are you aware that it was booked in or brought in by Idaho State Police? How would I find out
said
about
yeah.
those videos?
No, you'd have to go through the USB drives to find out what was given. I was just given the vast USB drives. I was not given them to by people that were bringing them in for time. Given to them after and then hand off to other investigators and other assistants that were helping.
Is there somebody else I should ask about specific ones to track where they went?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he was the one that watched all the footage. I think he just gathered it all in and then gave it to people or something like that. I don't think he was the one that was actually watching it.
No, he said he didn't. Okay. Ann said, were you aware that Idaho State Police brought in footage from Red Star? And I think he said, no, I wasn't. He wasn't aware. How could he not be aware?
Well, I mean, if they just hand it to him and he just put it all in the same file or same hard drive or whatever. I don't think he watched all the video.
Who did?
I don't know. Probably Payne. But he doesn't know either. That's what he just said.
Oh my God.
We'll try Firefly. No promises, though.
All right, give me just a minute, Your Honor.
Sure.
Thank you, Detective Mallory. I don't have any other questions for now, but hold on, the prosecutor might.
Ms. Taylor. Thanks, Mr. Thompson.
She smiled and was nice to Mr. Batanti.
All right, I'm gonna go back and talk.
Hey, everyone in chat, count how many times Thompson or Jennings stand up when they ask questions.
0.
Hey, you just gave
Can
it
you
away.
explain to me generally what is CastViz?
It's just a software that is useful in creating visualizations of the call detail records.
Okay. So how is it useful? What does it show?
It shows the location and the direction of the cell towers and their sector antennas.
Okay. Now, what version of CastViz do you have?
Currently, I think I have 33 on my laptop. It's prompted me to update to 38. But at the time, I believe I had version 30 installed.
So walk me through. You start up the software program.
Yes.
And then what do you do?
Drag the text file from the CDRs into the system. It ingests the files and then produces a display of that data.
Okay. And is that what you did on the 19th?
Yes.
And then what did you do with that visual that was displayed?
The visuals, I created screenshots, created the screen capture of the video. CastViz also allows a timeline frame view that you can record with Windows and software. Save those.
Other than uploading the CDRs, did you change any of the settings on CastViz?
The only thing that I would have done was gone in and changed made sure that the time was correct because they've done it in TC. It was a coordinated time. I wanted to make sure that those were representative of the local time.
Okay, so you just changed it to Pacific.
Correct.
Any other changes?
No.
So you were talking about,
Like people have been saying that's him changing the time on files. I don't think it is. I think what happens is every time you open that software up, you have to adjust the time or set the time. I don't
Set
think
the
he did
time zone.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't think he did anything weird with the evidence.
I
how
don't think he knows enough to do anything with it.
I think that he knows how to mess with it. Because he has to change the parameters. Like they got him south of Moscow somehow. You know?
Well, that's what they say. Does Anne agree with that? Like it's his car, 100% confirmed?
No. But this is just cell towers, it's not the car. But he messes, like you can mess with the map. The parameters for the map making
Yeah,
part.
yeah, yeah. Okay, gotcha.
You know, so if they mess with the parameters with the map and said he was south of Moscow, but they got all the parameters wrong, that's why she's like, I can't see what you did to make the map.
Right.
I need to know the parameters. She didn't explain it very well, in my opinion, from what I understand now. Maybe it'll come out, tomorrow with Psy. But from what I understand, that's what she's asking for. She's like, all I can see is the map you made. I can't see how you made it.
Right.
it's not automatically saved.
It does not.
Okay. And you chose not to save.
No, and in the exhibit that was provided, the actual text says that if you need to save the session file.
And can you tell me why didn't you save these settings?
I was creating the visualization exhibits. That's what I was doing with that.
Any reason to save the settings?
No.
Could this be recreated or redone in the same fashion?
Yes, I can again open this up.
See, like Jennings just said, you didn't save the settings. He said no. Then how do you know it can be replicated? Unless he
Right.
didn't change any of the settings at all to begin with. Maybe he just left everything on default.
Right.
But there are settings in there that you can mess around with and change.
So if he tried to recreate it and didn't like type in the exact things he changed or did not change, like it would be a totally different result, right?
Right. And from what Brendan from Thought Riot podcast has told us, hopefully they come back. We miss you, Brendan. We miss you, Malia.
Are they not back still? It's been
Not
like
yet.
a long time.
But he says that pretty much all you can see from the tower is the RTS data, which is just like milliseconds from like how far away you are from the tower. It doesn't give you an exact location.
Right.
They have like a general, he was this far away from the tower. That means you can place him anywhere within that tower's coverage.
Yep.
So it doesn't make any sense. That's why Anne needs to know the settings that was created.
Right, because the RTS or I think it's RTS. It just like you said, it's the amount of time it takes your cell signal to hit the tower and bounce back to your phone.
Right.
So it could be like half a second or 3 seconds or
right. And they just
Right.
know like a general area from where that tower is where you could
Right.
be. And I
Yeah, it
think
could
it just goes
be-
off by like the sectors of the tower. It's not even like an exact direction,
Okay.
Software drag the CDRs back in a very short time is generated.
And it would give you the same information.
Yes.
Is that why you didn't save it?
Yes.
I want to switch over to the other session files that you found. Were those session files created by you?
No.
Okay. And did you ever use those?
No.
And have you now turned those over, provided those?
Yes.
I want to switch gears over to what we were discussing as windy.com. What is that? What is Windy?
It's a website that is available for weather and such.
Okay. And why is that relevant in this case?
We were directed by Influence Cap Corporation that told me that we should look into windy.com
And why is that?
just to see if they retained video from the cameras themselves.
Okay, so windy.com has cameras.
They got screenshots. They basically capture the ITD cameras and put them on their website. Those images are.
What
really
date did you
encouraged
request
for
the Wendy.com footage though?
Okay. And can you explain to me, when are those, you talked about them being purged from their site? What's that schedule?
From going on the website yesterday, it's a public website, so I was able to go back to it. I don't remember exactly. I believe that within 24 hours, it's hourly. Within a week, it's daily. Within 12 months, it's monthly. And after that, I'm seeing probably like 3 months or so.
So he went back and looked at it the day before the hearing.
Well, I think right there is just saying like a general, that's where he thinks that they purge stuff from their website. I don't know how he would ever know that without asking them. But who knows?
Can you explain why you didn't preserve those images from Wendy.com?
When it was discussed with other investigators, we would have always gotten, I believe it was 1 image a day. Time frame wasn't where we were interested in speaking.
So there is no evidentiary value.
None that we did.
And have you since gone back and found some screenshots?
Yes,
It's what's available on the publicly available website,
anyone can go to Wendy.com and grab some trust.
and you've now done that?
I have.
Anything of evidentiary value?
No.
Have those been turned over anyway?
Yes.
I just have one second. Sure. I don't have any further questions.
Thank you. You read that?
Yes, just a bit. You were just speaking with the prosecutor about the images from Wendy.com. And I thought you didn't preserve anything or go back and look at anything during your investigation. Did I misunderstand that?
So the other one I was bringing back up.
Okay, so yesterday the prosecutor said, go look for these things.
Yes.
But before that, you and other investigators decided not to. Did I get that right?
With the information that we were given, we were told that they were a screenshot for the day, right, the parameters of. We did not grab those because they were not, didn't see that they would be relevant.
But you didn't look back then. You waited until yesterday. Is that right?
No, we looked back then. I couldn't tell you what time. Most of the photos that were taken for the daily screenshot or the daily screenshots were daytime, middle of the days kind of thing. So we didn't grab those every time.
Okay, but you did look at the time and made a decision at the time. Do I understand that now?
Yes.
Okay. Back to the cast viz for a couple of questions for you. When you were doing the work back in April of 2023, did you see maps on the screen with the work that you were doing?
Yes.
And you also made a video of that. I want to show you a map and see if it's what I think it is. You have defendants R in front of you. What is that?
There's be a screen capture of the cast list software.
Is that a screen capture from a map that you made?
Yes.
All right. Your Honor would move for admission of defendants R.
Exhibit R is admitted, no objection.
And are you aware that when you can see mapping on your screen on this program that there's a log created? Okay. You would agree that if I were to take the call detail records that have the tower report in them, I would have to have the same cast version you were using to recreate what you did. Would you agree with that?
If I took the regular cell call detail records and put them into a different version of cast, are you saying that it would become different?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. Let me try to be more clear about the one I was asking, and then I like yours. We might talk about your question as well. My question is, the prosecutor suggested that your work could be recreated, and so it didn't matter that you hadn't saved your session. What I want to know is, if I have the 48-hour call detail records that contain the tower list like you have it, do I have to have the cast viz program that you used so I can see what you did?
I don't know because I don't know what the back end of the cast software does. I'm just using, so I don't know.
And you were in this cast viz program, at least for a while, creating exhibits that would be relied on. Is that right?
Yes.
On more than one occasion. Is that right?
Yes.
But you didn't save your work.
We did not create a session log. That's even neat.
Here it
Do you agree
comes.
I can't see what you did without your session log. Can't examine what you did without your session log.
So they're to create the visualizations for the exhibits. That's what I just tested.
But I can't see what you did. Is that right?
Did anybody hear him right there?
Is that right?
Anybody hear that? I see his mouth move. I don't hear anything.
But I can't see what you did. Is that right?
Do you guys hear anything right here?
Just you blabbing.
Is that right?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll shut up.
No, it's not right, or no, I can't see what you did.
You cannot, but I could take those cell data or call data records, put them into assets again. The results would be what they are because we're still using the same records from AT&T to create
Have you done that?
these records.
Yes.
No.
Oh my God.
Thanks, that's it.
Thank you. Moving on back.
Wow.
I think I missed the part where she says a session log is created whenever a map is created.
Can we go, why did you pull
If
the
not, it's
CDRs
coming
into
up
Castus?
soon.
Why did I do that in April? Because I was asked by you to do it for the gender.
Okay, is that the only reason you did it?
Yes.
Is that the only time you did it?
Yes.
Okay.
That I remember. I mean,
Oh, thank you, Brett.
Yeah, follow up on that question.
Nope, thank you.
Okay, great. Can this witness be excused?
Yes, please.
Any objection? Okay, great. Thank you.
you cannot, but I could take those cell data or call the records, put them into Castus again.
But I can't see what you did. Is that right? Is that right?
We
Yeah.
missed it.
On more than one occasion. Is that right?
Where, yes, I'm just thinking, so I don't know.
And you were in this CastViz program, at least for a while, creating exhibits that would be reliable. Is that right?
Yes.
On more than one occasion. Is that right?
Yes.
But you didn't save your work.
Did not create a session log. That's even needed.
Would you agree? I can't see what you did without your session log. Can't examine what you did without your session log.
It's there to create the visualizations for the exhibits. That's what I use Castus.
But I can't see what you did. Is that right?
I don't know where
Alright.
it is. But at some point in time, she asks him, or if he's aware that every time a map is created, a session log is created, and that session log is not saved. So no matter what, that's him destroying evidence.
Mm-hmm.
If the map, like if you create a map and it creates the session log, and she doesn't have that session log, he had to have done something
To make it disappear.
exactly, proving the evidence was destroyed. And earlier on in this hearing, he says that he had the other files, emails from the FBI that he just threw in a file or a folder and didn't touch ever again, which I would imagine is the full FBI cast information while they were just relying on the rough draft.
Yeah. And then did you catch Jennings when she was doing her cross? She said when you went back in yesterday to look over, the CASVAs, everything, did you notice there were any session logs you did not create? And he said yes. And she said, did you turn those over to the defense? And he said yes.
You
What
mean
does
over
that
to the
mean?
prosecution?
Hmm?
She asked him if he handed over to the prosecution.
Maybe she just said, have you handed those over? But I was assuming to the defense. But it was weird because he said those were not anything he created. But when he went back, there were some in there and he.
Oh yeah, those are the session logs sent from the FBI. That's why I'm saying it's probably the full cast.
Yeah. Okay, well then she said, and did you turn those over? So I'm assuming he gave them.
Yeah, Ann
the
Taylor has
prosecution.
those files now,
Right. Okay.
as of the morning of the hearing,
Okay.
right? Pretty crazy stuff. But here's like the interesting thing. This is from the PCA, page 13, my favorite page of the PCA. I have it highlighted. The 8458 phone does not report to the network again until approximately 4:48 a.m., at which time it utilized cellular resources that provide coverage to Idaho State Highway 95, south of Moscow, near Blaine, north of Genesee. Doesn't say he's there south of Moscow. It says he's utilizing cellular resources that provide coverage to that area. The other interesting thing is that his phone connects to the network at 4:48, right? But then it says between 4:50 a.m. and 5:26 a.m., the phone utilizes cellular resources that are consistent with the 8458 phone traveling south on Idaho State 95 to Genesee, Idaho, then traveling west towards Uniontown, Idaho, and then back north to Pullman, Washington. What happens between 4:48 and 5? Unless his phone, like he was stopped driving at 4:48 and then his phone turned on, or that's just not him consistent with going south on Highway 95, Doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But we can bring up the cell tower. Most of you guys have probably seen this by now.
Oh my God, haven't we? Okay,
But
real fast. So
Yo.
if Anne got the full cast report, do
mhm.
you think? Okay, because I cannot imagine the FBI screwing this up so bad, like MPD. Do you think the actual accurate information is in there, and MPD just didn't look at it or didn't want to look at it because it didn't fit with what they needed it to fit?
Yeah, I don't know why he wouldn't look at it. It sounds like he tried to open the files and he just couldn't.
Well, isn't that what they have to look at to do the cast viz at the police department?
Right. So, from what I gather from what Maury was saying, is that he could open up that initial 48-hour call log,
Mm-hmm.
CDR call data record or something. I don't know. But other than that, he couldn't get anything to open.
Why not?
Well, I mean, I don't know. But if all he's going off of is that original record, that's just the cell data. I don't think it has GPS in it. I think it's just again that RTS time. So you can see how far from the tower you are, but you can't see anything else.
Yeah. RTS is the same thing as RTT, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. So the other files they sent could have been the more detailed version of including the GPS, and they couldn't really triangulate because there weren't enough towers, but
Right.
with GPS, with the cell, and with like other frequencies, they can more accurately, I guess, place them in areas. So do you think those reports did not place them in the areas where the murders were taking place?
I would say so, yes. I won't be surprised. And Ray says that he only gets involved with cases when he gets to learn everything about the case.
Mm-hmm.
So why would he be on the defensive side if all the information on the case points to Brian, being there?
Yeah. No, I agree. So with MPD not looking at the more detailed files they sent, how much longer do you think it took them to send? Like days, weeks?
I don't know. I mean, that's the thing, is that he didn't say the date when he received those emails.
Yeah. It's just so strange that they would not want to go back and check their work and do, and that's why they couldn't do a final report, because they didn't open the files
Right. He just threw them in
for the PCA.
Threw them in a folder, didn't look at them. I think it's because he couldn't open them, to be honest. He just threw them to the side. I don't know what to do with these.
Well, that's when you get on the phone and you call someone.
Who cares if, that FBI agent, Nick Balance, sent them to me? I can't open to them. I'm just going to create the map like I'm told to.
Oh my God. This is just so crazy.
Yep. But a brief overview of this map. This is Moscow, Idaho in the top right. Down here, south of Moscow, here's Blaine. South of Moscow, near Blaine, north of Genesee. But this also covers west of Moscow, south of Pullman, towards Wowawai Park, which is, of course, where they're saying he was as his alibi. My question for Ray, which hopefully I'll be able to ask him tomorrow, is this is the park. This is the way out of the park. Right here is the way that you would typically come from Pullman and go back to Pullman, but we all know he likes to go for nighttime drives. So I just think that he went on a route, took a little loop that night. Right about here, you get cell coverage again. It just doesn't show it on the map specifically. None of these towers point towards that area. So Again, I've driven this road. You all probably are aware of that. I get cell service when I cross this road. So right around here, I get cell service again. And it only gets stronger the longer you drive down that road. So you're coming closer to the tower. But I'd be willing to bet that what's shown on the map is just like the strongest area. It's not where like the coverage ends per se. But if he connects to this tower from over here, he is connecting to the tower that does cover south of Moscow, near Blaine, north of Genesee. So all I'm saying is, most likely, in my opinion, Brian did go to the park that night. He didn't go into Idaho. He wasn't near Moscow. He didn't kill anybody. And the other interesting thing is, in the alibi, they say, including Walwell Park. Now, a lot of people will be like, it doesn't say he was at the park. Well, it says including Walwell Park, not near it, not by it, not drove by it. He went there in the park, including Walwell Park. You can drive, to the park from Pullman, right? At 253, they say that they have them on camera in Pullman on Nevada Street. Yes, you caught me, Phil. You caught me. None of that typing is real. I just hit play on my iPhone nearby so you guys can hear it. But according to the PCA, he's seen on Nevada Street at about 253 heading towards Moscow. They just leave out a couple of cameras there. The alibi says he went to the park. In order to go to the park during the time of the crime, like during the window of the crime, and when he is off of WSU campus, he leaves at 2:53. He's seen at about 5:25 in the morning on a camera right around here. You have to go to Walwell Park in that time frame. That's the window that the PCA gives us. If he left to the park directly at 2:53, he'd get there around 3:25, 3:30, maybe 3:20. Now, in theory, if he goes to the park, he drives through the gate, which is open at night. I hope you've all seen the drive, and turns around. He could get to the house right around 4 o'clock, which is the time of the crime that they've told us, and do it. What that would do is just remove all that camera footage that they say he's driving around Moscow starting at 3:26 in the morning. You can't be in the park and driving around Moscow at the same time. So that would cut that part out. So let's just say he goes to the park, he turns right around, drives to Moscow, does the unalivings, gets out, and drives back. It could be that's what happened. I don't think so. But it's possible. But then that removes all of that camera footage to him driving around Moscow before the crimes. So how would they even point it to his car? That's not possible. And there's definitely not enough time to, I think they say that he would have reconnected to service around here somewhere. There's not enough time to drive from that area back to the park and get to that camera on Johnson Road at 5:25. So if he went to the park and did the crime, he would have had to go to the park first, turn directly around, drive to the house, commit the murders, and drive home. But then all of that camera footage with him driving through Moscow is impossible. So they wouldn't have any evidence to point at him anyways. But I think what happened is he went to the park, for an hour and a half and drove home. He connects the service right in this area at about, 4:48. Drives down this way, gets on 195 right outside of Colton, heads back up towards Pullman, gets on this Johnson cutoff road. Most likely, there's a couple different routes you could take to get back up to Pullman. Right around here at 5:25 in the morning is when they have him on that first camera coming back into town. Then they have him on camera taking a right at Bishop, taking a left on off Bishop onto 270. So my question would be, if the camera's working on the way home, why isn't it working on his way out? Because they say that he heads towards 270 from Nevada Street towards Moscow, but this camera isn't working on his way to Moscow, but it's working on the way back home. So that doesn't make a lot of sense. What do you think, La?
I don't know, because my chats aren't going through.
What do you mean? I
Trying
see
to
you.
figure it out. Huh?
I miss a lot of chat, guys. I'm sorry, but I've been looking at the map.
No, like it's not coming through. It's up there, but it's not showing. Did you block me?
No, I see you in chat. I say in timed OGT. I don't know what you're typing, but you're typing.
Okay.
Did you time somebody else out? What'd you do? Maybe it's just your YouTube that's messing up.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I thought I was timing out, and I was like, "What the heck?" Okay, what was the question? I'm sorry.
I was just asking
Yeah,
what
the
your
map's
thoughts are.
great. It's all you got it. It's all right.
You're a liar.
No, we know the map. We know your expertise with the map. We know your driving of the map.
Apparently, I like maps.
Yes.
But yeah, all they have to do is prove that he went to the park, and then I don't see how they can say he did the crime at all.
Well, some people will say he did. So
I know a lot of people will, but a lot of people are dumb. So
I just think that, yes, they can prove he's not driving near the house at that time, but then there will be some people that are like, well, maybe his car was out, and his phone, but he wasn't. Well, okay. I just think all of it is going to fall apart at the same time, like, because the IGG hearing is tomorrow too, and I don't know. I just knowing what I've learned about DNA from all of this, I don't see how they could ever make several S&P profiles to run and make different trees. Like, they didn't have enough DNA to do that.
well, they had to create an SNP and an STR profile.
Right. So if they only had what Becca Barlow stated in her declaration, that it was a low copy number, low count number of DNA, it was like 20 or so cells, and I can't remember. I think they did give like a metric unit equivalent, but they could probably do an STR, maybe got enough markers to run it through CODIS, but how did they have enough to do S&P?
Well, remember during COVID how they were doing that test to replicate DNA?
Mm-hmm.
And they would like multiply the DNA and then get people popping positive on the COVID test?
Yes, and I know that they do that. They, can they not multiply it. What's the other word I'm thinking of? I know what you're saying, but you still have to have the original DNA to amplify it many times over.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe they replicated the DNA.
But
because there's no way they had enough.
They could have done that maybe twice.
No, they can replicate the DNA as many times as they want.
You have to have the original DNA as the base.
That's what I'm saying. So they replicated the DNA and then created the S&P and the STR profiles. They replicated it first.
You think so?
I'm just saying it's possible. That's the only way they could do it.
I don't know. I'm just wondering.
That's the only way they could have done it, because they didn't even have a full profile before the first test.
Exactly.
So how are you matching it up to anyone anyway? But I think that's what
sorry. Exactly. So I just don't know. Like, when you do IgG, you're not supposed to make one tree. You're supposed to have enough sample there in case you need to make 3 or, check your work and do another one. I just don't know how they did it.
I don't think that's how it goes. I think you just create
That's all.
the profile and then you compare the profiles to other people and trace it back through. I don't think you need more than one sample for the IgG.
Am
But
I
they had to
muted?
make an STR and an SNP profile. So they had to have enough DNA to drop 2. Right? Okay, keep typing on your phone. Phil, I wish we had cake. Oh, La's talking to her mom. But yeah, if he went to the park at all, it's going to be pretty hard to say that he did the crime. That's just the way it is, unless they got the entire time frame wrong, which could be true because their whole investigation kind of sucks anyway. But who knows? We might find out a little bit more tomorrow. Does anybody have any questions, thoughts, opinions? What emoji? I know, I can't wait for tomorrow either. Tomorrow should be fun. Angel, that's just your kid trying not to go to school. I'm not saying that he doesn't love you. I'm just saying he doesn't want to go to school. But yeah, I don't think they would have had enough DNA to do both unless they replicated it. Or some of the other theories are saying that they planted the DNA after the fact. Angel, I hope he does. I hope you raise him correct. So he's a good man that all the ladies love. Can I try to intercept Ray on the way in or out of court? Well, I'm certainly going to try. I don't know if it'll work, but I have plans. I've got a lot of plans for tomorrow. Angel, that's offensive. I don't think I really manipulate anyone. Murky, did I see your comment above? Probably not, depending on how far it goes back. Let me see. Give me a sec. No, I don't want to bring that up over there anyway. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Oh yeah, I saw your comment in Discord. The street light would show it if they turned the car around in the middle of that street. It just depends on if they have it in camera. If there's a camera recording it, there should be a nice clear picture of it. But I don't see how you do a 3-point turn and you can't get every single angle of that car and the license plates. That would be pretty crazy. Batsheet, the final discovery timeline is like in September or August or something, right? But the judge can put timelines on certain things specifically. So from what I understand, he put out a timeline in July of 2023 for all the cast information, which Moscow says they didn't have it, but apparently it was sitting in Maori's folder the entire time. Then they said they were going to hand over the cast draft to Anne on the 31st of March, and I think she just got that on the morning of last week's hearing, the 23rd. So, I mean, they have a bunch of deadlines, they just didn't do it. But now I think Anne has all of the stuff for the cast, I would think. What'd you pick on Brendan about, Phil? The 112 camera captures that corner. Yeah, but it's not like the middle of the focus of the camera. So, I mean, it'll be interesting, but why is Anne saying that they're cutting the footage up and not giving her a whole thing? They're also withholding the audio. If they have such good evidence that it's Brian's car, why are they hiding it? Are you talking about comparing me to Brendan, Phil? I mean, I don't know. I think Brendan knows what he's talking about. You know, apparently he's worked in the cell phone industry for what, 10 years or something. I don't have that expertise. So, I mean, I asked Brendan questions too. The good news is Dinky's going live in about 8 minutes, so we can sit here and chat until then, and then we can all jump over to Dinky. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with TRP. They said they would be gone for like 10 days or a week and 10 days or something, but it's been like 2.5 weeks now. Hey, I can man crush on whoever I want. Oh yeah, Brendan likes cake and shiny things because he gets distracted. That's okay. He's got a lot of stuff going on. I wish we could see like what their studio set up like, because he probably has like 15 screens going on. He looks at all like the analytics and stuff while they're live to see what's going on. So like he's looking at a lot of stuff on live. But there's a lot of stuff going up on here when you're live anyway. Like I've got 2 screens, you know, with all the, you know, maps and articles, whatever, pulled up on one side, and then StreamYard and the chat on the other. And I feel like I need a 3rd screen. Yeah, I thought Riot put out a community post like a week and a half ago. And I was thinking they'd be coming back shortly after that, but maybe they're having issues with their new studio or something. I don't know if they're building it or what, but like it doesn't have to be perfect either. They can just come turn on their cameras and talk to us. Where's your finger at, Meg? They probably are getting fancy. I mean, they bought the studio space or house or whatever they're doing, and then they're probably getting it already. But like they could just turn their cameras on. I don't think we really care as much for the background as watching them talk or whatever. But in 4 minutes, Dinky is supposed to go live, so we can all transfer over there. I guess I will end the stream now. I don't know why, but my headset just turned off. And head over to Dinky's. So thank you all for coming. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I'll be trying to go live more often coming up soon. I will see y'all over in Dinky's. Later.